Am I the a-hole for uninviting my dad's wife for my daughter's birthday party over something she did last year? I don't usually turn to the internet for advice, but I feel like my situation is specific enough that my friends can't help me much. For context, my dad has been with Kathy for a little under 15 years. She's technically his third wife, so she has always been very insecure about her place in his family. Unfortunately, this has led her to become very needy and histrionic. My daughter is turning 6 in February, and we are planning her birthday party. Last year, my husband and I threw her a Cinderella-themed party at our place. My dad showed up without Kathy, who had claimed to be sick. It didn't bother me, but I remember feeling like something was off. Near the end of the party, Kathy showed up in a Cinderella costume. She was acting in character and trying to interact with the kids. Neither my husband nor I had been informed that she would be doing that. At most, she had asked me a few weeks prior whether we were hiring any party performers. I later found out she had been planning to surprise my daughter and bought the costume the day she found out what the theme would be. My husband and I are still positive that Kathy did this for attention. It didn't really work, since my daughter recognized her immediately, but it did disrupt things a little because she showed up around the time the kids were eating cake and some of the parents were getting ready to leave. We managed to sort things out, but it took some time, and we still had to deal with a dozen confused preschoolers. It was a great party besides that, and our daughter enjoyed herself, which is what matters most. However, my husband and I asked Kathy not to do this again. She agreed and apologized. I am pretty sure she is planning on doing it again. We spent a lot of time with my paternal family during the holidays, and I noticed Kathy was bringing up Cinderella's appearance at the party very frequently. She was reminiscing, showing pictures, and talking about what she would do differently. She didn't talk to my kids about it much, but she did ask my daughter what theme she wanted for her party this year and how she would feel if one of the characters showed up. I really don't want to have to deal with this surprise again, especially if it comes with no warning like last time. We are also throwing this year's party at a venue instead of at home, which means we have a time slot to abide by. My husband and I spoke to Kathy about our concerns. She didn't say she was planning on showing up in costume, but she kept insisting that if she did, the kids would love it and that it could be fun. We tried to make her promise she wouldn't do it, but she kept dodging the question and claiming she didn't see the problem. Finally, we told her it would be best if she didn't come at all. She can join us for the dinner we are having afterward, but not for the actual party. Now she is upset, and my dad is angry at us. He firmly believes we are being paranoid and dramatic. I am worried we might be going too far, but I am almost certain she is planning to do it again, and I don't want to risk having problems at the party. Update 1. So, I have a love-hate relationship with being right. My dad called me 2 days after I posted. There is a purple wig at his place that is styled suspiciously similar to Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. He opened Kathy's mail thinking it was his and found it. The costume itself is set to arrive in about a week. She wasn't planning on telling him about either. He claims they fought because neither the costume nor the wig were cheap. However, he also felt the need to tell me that she had been watching the movie repeatedly to study, and that she cares so much. He even asked if it wasn't sweet how much Kathy loves my kids and suggested that maybe my daughter would like it this time. That was all I heard before I went to look for a pillow to scream into. I'm done. This made me a lot angrier than it probably should have, but it isn't the first time someone in my family has decided that my plans and the effort I put in do not mean anything. If I cannot even plan my own child's birthday party without someone trying to interfere, then I do not have to feel bad about drawing the line. Kathy is officially banned from the party. My husband and I have alerted the venue that we did not hire any character performers, and if any Caucasian-looking Korean pop star shows up, they must tell her to go home. We also gave them a picture of her. They basically told us they cannot let anyone who is not on the guest list inside anyway, so she will not be allowed in. I feel horrible about making them deal with my family drama, but at least that is one less thing to worry about. My dad and I did argue about this, but I put my foot down. He kept arguing that it would not be a big deal if I would just let Kathy have this. I told him that was not the point. If he is not the one who is going to have to manage the situation, then he does not get to tell me how difficult it is to deal with. In the end, this is what we settled on. My dad can come to the birthday party as long as Kathy does not tag along. If she does, they are both out. However, both of them can still join us for dinner later. I'm also thinking about lowering my contact with both my dad and Kathy. I love my dad, but no headache is worth this. I want to wait until I am calmer before working out the details. I want to thank everyone. I have a lot going on in my life, and my therapist is on vacation, so it feels good to rant about this. For my own sanity, though, I am going to focus on relaxing for the next couple of weeks. I already feel much lighter knowing this is over. Final update: I said I would not update again unless something happened, so you can probably guess why I am back. This might get long. I will go ahead and say that nothing happened at the party itself. It took place on Saturday, and everything went perfectly fine. My daughter loved it, the kids had fun, and we had no problems with the venue. Kathy did not try to come, nor did my dad try to convince me to re-invite her. I had expected him to sulk through the party, but he actually behaved pretty well. Then we went to the birthday dinner. My dad and Kathy were running so late that the food arrived around the same time they did. Kathy was dressed as Rumi, wearing the wig and jacket. My dad refused to make eye contact with anyone and was very obviously embarrassed. The kids saw them before we did. I knew there was a chance she might come to the restaurant in costume, but I was more concerned that she would do it at the party. My husband and I had agreed that we would not make a scene in front of the kids, but we would step in if things got out of hand. It was very awkward. The kids, 5 in total, including my 3, mostly ignored her. They recognized Kathy and called her by her name, which upset her. They were also not amused by the way she kept trying to get their attention, because she was trying to get them to interact with her while they were either talking to each other or trying to eat. I told Kathy to leave them alone when she started trying to pull my daughter's hand away from her food so they could get up and dance together. She sat there silently for a few minutes before leaving to go to the bathroom. Then she texted my dad saying she was not feeling well, and they left. In the end, they stayed for less than 20 minutes. People were staring, but that is not something I tend to care about. Aside from the few moments that made me cringe, Kathy asked the waitress if they had Ramayan at Johnny Rockets. Nothing too chaotic happened. Still, I regret not telling her to leave. My husband handled bedtime that night, and our daughter asked him whether it was okay if she did not like Kathy. She also asked my husband not to tell me at first because she did not want to upset me. The 3 of us ended up talking on Sunday. Our daughter basically said she was upset that Kathy was bothering her and being pushy during the dinner. She was also worried that the kids at the table next to us were looking at her funny because of what was going on. I am exhausted, and I feel like things like this happen far too often. It is perfectly fine for them to do whatever they want as long as I am the one dealing with the consequences. More than anything, I refuse to let my children be treated this way too. I genuinely do not understand why Kathy insists on behaving like this, but I should not have to worry about whether a grown woman will listen to me when I tell her not to do something at my child's party. A few hours after the talk with my daughter, the kids went out with my mom. I took the opportunity to call my dad and Kathy and told them that she is no longer welcome at any of my children's events. We had an interesting argument, during which Kathy said I had humiliated her when I told her to leave my daughter alone. She said she could not understand why I was doing this when she was willing to go this far to make my kids happy. My dad and I talked again later that night without her. He was still defending Kathy, but he admitted he was embarrassed when she insisted on wearing the costume. Apparently, that was the reason they were late to the dinner. I told him my decision was final, and if he ever tried to bring Kathy to an event she was not invited to, they would both be told to leave. We are not officially cutting ties, but my husband and I will make an effort to spend less time with Kathy moving forward. That will probably include lowering our contact with my dad as well. However, the more I think about it, the more I realize that might actually help our relationship. In the end, aside from Kathy's shenanigans, my daughter really enjoyed her birthday. That is all that really matters. Once again, I want to thank everyone. This is my last post.